This gave you close to
To order. John, would you lead us in a word of prayer, please?
I would. Y'all please pray with me. Dear Lord, once again, we come to you asking your guidance and just a little bit of your wisdom as we make decisions regarding this organization. Lord, we ask that the decisions that we make tonight are pleasing in your sight. In his name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Before we get started, I would like to bring up one thing that I guess on July the 3rd, I wasn't able to be downtown, but understand that Ulysses got recognized for not only serving our country, but to the city of large. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Again, before we get started with the minutes, we have this is from the March virtual meeting, and we need to re-sign, correct?
Yes, sir. Remember y'all did 3 or 4 meetings at one time, and for whatever reason, that never did get signed, so. She did not give me.
That's in case you need another copy.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Good thing I have one in my thing.
I'll bring you one too.
You saw it?
Yes. He told me right away. He was all excited. Where's that, Brent?
Thank you. There we go.
Thank you, sir.
All right, that brings us to item number 2, approval of the minutes from the May 10th meeting, as we did not have one in the month of June. All these have been sent out. Anybody have any corrections or changes or additions? If not, I hear a motion they be approved as presented.
So move.
Second. All in favor, raise your right hand.
Generation.
That would be unanimous.
How they do it.
Joe. All right, item number 4 is the public forum session, and we do not seem to have any public represented, so we'll move on to number 5. This will be the review of our April and May financial statements. Blake?
All right, so we've got 2 months to review. Just kind of keep in mind, this time last year was the month of April was when we decided to estimate our billing due to COVID. So if you're looking at a year-to-year comparison, you might wonder why it looks so different from last year, because of the way the accrual happened for the billings in April and May, due to the estimated reading. It's going to work a little different. Flip over to page 6, and we'll look at our profit and loss for the month of April. Combined gain of $75,216. That's division was $53,171. If you look at 2020, it showed a loss of 137. So, if you want to go comparison, kind of look back to 2019. Loss in gas, $10,281. Gain in water of $23,636. Sewer gain of $8,689. Our budget totals, our capital budget totals, we were $282,000 under for the month, and 51% year to date. $602,000 or 9% under for the month of April, and $655,000 or 6.9% under budget. So everything looks healthy.
All right. Look at the checks over 1,000, see if anyone has any questions.
On the tankless electrical meters, are we making a purchase on them on a monthly or quarterly basis? How are we doing?
What, I'm sorry, I didn't hear
On the
you.
tankless electrical meters, I know that it was 31,000 for the month, but are we buying them monthly or?
It's a bulk order.
All quarter?
Yeah, we get better pricing when we buy in bulk like that. We deploy those pretty quickly.
If you recall too, we had a little bit of
31,000, about, just a guess off the top of your head, about how many is that, would you say?
what, 200 apiece?
It depends on, if you get the remote disconnect meters, they're a little over $200 a piece. If you don't get the remote disconnect, they're about 130, 150.
If you recall, a year or two ago, there was a real big shortage on them, and it was like a year-long waiting list to get them. So whenever we can get them, we typically put them in.
Powderhorn project, is that water lines?
Yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions? If not, do I hear that the motion for the April financials to be accepted as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. That'll be unanimous. Blake?
All right, moving on to the May 31 financials. Just almost halfway through the year, we'll take a look at the net position at the end of the balance sheet on page 4. We're at $33,824,000, $29,583,000, difference of $4.2 million from the previous year. So looking healthy as well. Our profit and loss for the month of May, page 6, the combined net gain was $77,386. The electric division had a gain of $134,658. Offset the loss of $130,490 in the gas division. Water and sewer almost $39,057, and sewer $34,161. Our O&M, our capital asset budget on page 11. We are 55% under budget, right at 50% for the year to date. And just to point out a couple of big ticket items that are coming later in the year, our CWIP for our electric lines, 1107. You see it's under budget, 202,000. The pump station upgrades, they'll be happening more in the fall. And then our sewers, that's the RIA grant that's going to be coming. That'll be our match. So that's $319,000. So that's why it looks like we're 50% of the budget. A lot of that's going to be paid out towards the end of the year. Page 14 is our O&M and G&A budget totals. We were $168,000 under budget for the month, 7.5%, and $823,000 under, right at 7% year to date. I'll be glad to take any questions on the May financials.
the two Ford F-150s from Furman Ford. Are we, with the lack of vehicles out there for sale, are we ordering these vehicles in advance and waiting on them to get here?
Yeah.
Those
Actually came in sooner. We bid those trucks out, that's January 1st to February. In May, we're still waiting on one. It could be 6 months to get a truck.
I'm sitting in a parking lot somewhere in Detroit.
Waiting on a chip. Waiting on a chip.
waiting on a chip from China.
Right. We knew it was gonna be a long way, so we bid them at the first of the year, and actually got those sooner than we thought we would, but the other one should be due anytime now.
Anybody have any questions? Additional questions on the checks over 1,000 for May? Do I hear a motion that we accept the May financials as presented?
Second.
All in favor, raise your hand. That'd be unanimous. All right, John, that brings us to item number 6.
Okay, we had a issue, was it last week or week before last, Keith, do you remember? I think it was last week, with the transformer that is connected to the backup generator that we recently purchased for the sewer plant. If you recall, we bought that about a year and a half ago from the city of Kings Mountain, North Carolina. And the transformer and the generator came sort of as a package, and we had a problem with the generator, like I said, I think it was last week. And anyway, we had McCall Thomas come and do an evaluation of the transformer itself, and it is shot. We estimate it's around 25 years old, when we bought it. So because without that transformer, the generator that we purchased isn't doing us any good. So we are recommending that we make an amendment to the 2021 budget in the amount of $21,950 to buy it's a refurbished transformer. According to Robbie, the shell is the only thing. Everything inside the transformer itself is brand new. But that would get us back to where if there were a problem at the sewer plant that the generator could come on and connect to the plant there and allow us to continue operations. But because of the dollar amount there, we felt like it's probably something that we need to go ahead and do and make sure you guys are okay with it. So I think we need a vote just to keep up with everything.
Anybody have any questions?
How long does the rebuild guarantee, Mr. Johnson?
It's a 5-year guarantee on it. And by the way, a brand new one is about $50,000, and it's about a 40-week delay on getting it. So that's why we went with this one. Also, the pattern for the way the transformer is set up needs to be exactly like the one we took off. And they just so happen, this transfer maintenance service company out of Tennessee had one that would fit exactly what we need. You know, transformers come in all different styles and configurations, and this one is exactly what we need. So.
Any other questions?
You gotta have it, you gotta have it.
Gotta have it, yeah.
Motion, we,
Hopefully, we never need it, but we gotta have it.
I hear a motion, we make an adjustment to the 2021 budget to account for the purchase of this transformer.
I so move.
All in favor, raise your right hand. That would be unanimous. All right, item number 7.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you may recall, we have several different electric rates that allow customers to have customer-owned generation. 100% of these are solar panels on the roofs of houses. And the rates that you've had in your packet there are the rates that deal with those. And just to remind you, the arrangement that we have with these customers is kind of a tri-party agreement in that we make contract with the customer to sell them power, and at the same time, they make in that contract, they sell the excess power that their solar panels generate, they sell back to us, which we in turn sell back to PMPA. And so it's a tri-party agreement between the customer, the CPW, and PMPA. So that is the reason that we are changing the rate, because PMPA, as of January 1st, changed their rates. But the way those contracts read, anyone that signed that contract prior to that was locked in at the rate that you see here. Keep me straight on this. Keith deals with more of the solar customers than anybody. So we're just changing this rate policy to reflect the change that PMPA made back in January. We haven't added any since then, so it shouldn't be a problem. In addition to that, when these customers are initially hooking to our system, it requires a great deal of work between Keith and Robbie and several people involved in our electric system to ensure that everything is set up correctly and it doesn't cause any problems. And you would think as many installations as some of these companies do that they would have it down, but more often than not, there are several problems whenever they go to hook these systems up, and some of them are pretty dangerous. I don't know if you want to elaborate, Keith, on.
We see all kind of things like one was wired so that whatever the solar panels produced went through the meter, and we would have been charging for the solar energy that they were producing. So I had to tell them, you got to wire that different. Some of them have critical circuits that get wired up to a battery. We're seeing more batteries now with them. And when the power goes out, they can still run those circuits off the battery. But then that energy doesn't pass through our generation meter. That's really more of a help for the customer, so we have to get them to work on that. There's 2 or 3 of them out there right now that they're trying to get their engineer to straighten that out. And some of them just, they don't have proper grounds on them and things of that nature, just little stuff, but it's still a safety issue.
But because of the amount of work that it's requiring from us initially to get it set up, we feel like that we need to do like all the other utilities around us and have a application fee for these solar customers. And $200 was about the average of what the other utilities are charging. So that kind of helps us reimburse for Keith's time, for Robbie Howard's time. And if a line worker has to go out there and do things, I would say 100% of the solar customers, we've had to spend at least a couple of hours on every one of them. So,
How many do we have?
We've got about 10 or 12 now. They're not all active. There's one that he was ready about this time last summer, but he never has fixed a problem, and we haven't activated him yet. So
When there is a problem, the company that did the problem being obviously from the customer side, the company that did the installation has to come back in here and fix it?
Yes. Normally, I will notify, the company will contact me, and then they'll let me know when it's ready and all. And we go out and check it, and if there's a problem, I notify them, say, there's this problem, you need to get the electrician to fix it. And whoever they had install it and wire it, they'll go back out there, and then they'll let me know it's ready again. And sometimes you gotta make 2 or 3 trips to look at it, or sometimes they'll contact you and get you to come out there while they're there. That's the best situation, but they seem like they all have, it's a different company and it's a different person wiring it and all that. I don't know if I've dealt with the same company twice on any of them. So it's kind of a odd business or whatever.
And that's something that, you know, we'd like for our folks in the media to really, I guess, pay attention to, is that just like any other kind of business, there are people out there selling these solar panels that are honest and good people. And at the same time, there's a lot of them out there that maybe might not quite be as honest and might overpromise what these solar panels will do for the customers. And a lot of times we get in the middle of it, and, you know, we've got this rate and we've got a really good program, but, you know, we're not responsible for what that solar panel produces or doesn't produce. And we just really emphasize that if a customer is considering these solar panels, the South Carolina Energy Office has a really good, like a brochure that tells you all the ins and outs. And I think, Keith,
We have copies of little booklets and brochures that I can send out to customers if they contact me. And sometimes they will.
but it's not put out by a utility, it's put out by the State Energy Office. And it's a very good generic kind of a primer on the, you know, what's involved with a solar panel and all that sort of thing. Because we are seeing more and more of them. But, you know, we just want customers to understand that just like any other business, you've got your reputable dealers and you've got your not so reputable dealers. And, of course, we can't recommend one over another. So, you know, we just tell them kind of buyer beware, I guess. But we do ask for a vote to approve these changes.
Any other discussion? Questions?
Now, what are we saying? We're gonna charge the customer $200 to go out and check the,
This is like an application fee. This is a one-time fee. If you wanted to put a solar panel on your house and you contract with a dealer to put that on, before we connect you to our system, you would have to pay this $200 fee, which would help cover the expenses that we have of going out there, like you said, and making sure everything's set up correctly.
We're one of the very few that don't charge an application fee now, because most of these solar companies, when they contact me, when they get the documentation ready to send back, they want to know where to send the application fee. Most of them ask that question.
how many solar customers we got, you know?
There's about 10 or 12 right now.
All right.
We've had a lot in the last couple of months that it seems like the frequency's picking up, that people are buying.
A lot of advertising, so.
Do I hear a motion that we accept the changes as presented? Say raise right hand. That would be unanimous. All right. Item number 8.
Okay, this one's going to require a little bit of explanation here because this is something that's pretty new. And I've got a little PowerPoint. Set me up. That may help explain this. And basically, this is something that the Lawrence CPW has never had before. It's a capacity fee. And again, I think just about every water and sewer utility around us that I'm aware of and across the state has water and wastewater capacity fees. And what this is, it's a fee for new customers. This would only be for new customers. And a capacity fee is a one-time capital charge that we would require any new customer to pay. And it's to help the CPW collect revenue that we would put in a special fund. And whenever we need to improve our water or wastewater infrastructure, be it main lines or pumping systems or new water plant or new sewer plant, that we would have a fund put together to help with the cost of doing that. Now, we don't anticipate having to build a new water plant or a new sewer plant for many, many years, but we would like to go ahead and start setting up that so that when that does come, that we'll have that money there. And again, this is not for existing customers. This would be for any new taps, any water tap or sewer tap. But it directly benefits the new customers because we've got plenty of capacity now, but at some point we won't have enough new capacity. Does that kind of make sense to everybody? And like I said, these capacity fees help us recover wastewater treatment facility fees, storage fees, pumping systems, all of the big ticket capital items that are required to provide sewer service and provide water service to our customers. And this is for, like I said, new developments, and that is someone buying a piece of land and actually building a house on it, or taking an existing building and upgrading it to where they would need new water or sewer taps. That's the only place that these capacity fees would apply. Now, the way every single utility that I've researched measures that is by a basic unit called a residential equivalent unit. And that is sort of a standard unit of measure that South Carolina DHEC established. And that's basically the amount of water and wastewater that an average home would use. And one REU is equivalent to 300 gallons per day. Now, I know that sounds like a lot, but that's the number that DHEC, everybody uses to calculate that. Capacity fees are assessed on the proposed water and sewer usage. We're going to go over kind of a calculation for how this is done, but the REUs vary on the type of development. And the basic calculation for determining how many REUs a development or a retail business would have is the estimated gallons of water per day divided by 300 gives you the REU factor for how we calculate this fee. The water capacity fee will be, or we're proposing $500 per REU. Remember, that's one house. So if you were building one house, you would pay your tap fee, and then you would pay this capacity fee. For the water, it would be $500. For the sewer, it would be $750. And this is the guideline. I put in a little thing here. This is kind of everything that's in this little green handout, but I just put it in a little bit easier form to see on the PowerPoint here. But these are the different, can y'all see? These are the different residential, like I said, for one single family dwelling is 300 gallons per day. For a condo or a townhouse, it's 300 gallons per day. For an apartment, it's 100 gallons per bedroom. And duplexes is 300 gallons per day. On the residential side, it gets a little bit more complicated. For a restaurant, it would be 40 gallons per seat in that restaurant. That's how you calculate it. Hotel would be 100. Office and retail space is based on the square footage of what they would be installing. And then industrial would be on the number of employees, and if they have a kitchen and shower, it's a little bit different there. So what you would do is take these figures here, go back to this, and that would tell you how many REUs that you've got to have for development. So I come up with a couple of examples here. Say if a developer came in and he wanted to build a subdivision, a 25-home subdivision, it would be 25 homes times the 300 gallons per day, or 75,000 total gallons per day, divided by 300 is 25 residential equivalent units. So 25 times 500 would be $12,500 for water, $18,750 for sewer. For a total capacity fee for 25 homes would be $33,950. Does that make sense? And again, this money would be put in a special account that can only be used for improving the water and or sewer infrastructure, from mainline pipes all the way to one day perhaps building a new sewer plant or water plant. I put another example in here for a 3,000 square foot office or retail space. If somebody wanted to put up let's say a beauty parlor, and it was 3,000 square feet, you would take that divided by 8 gallons, which was from our chart before, divided by 100 square feet, gives you 240 gallons per day, divided by 300, or would be 0.8 REUs. So 0.8 times 500 is $400 for the water capacity fee and $600 for the wastewater, for a total of $1,000 for a retail 3,000 square foot retail space. Does that make sense? Anybody got any questions about how it's calculated? I know it's a little bit different, and it's something that for decades we've never had a lot of growth in Lawrence County, but now we're seeing unprecedented growth. And this is one of the things that we feel like we need in place now, so that when all this growth does come, that we'll be better prepared if there is problems that we have to address regarding water and wastewater infrastructure.
This is for new businesses and homes and whatnot going forward.
Going forward, right. The existing customers, it doesn't affect at all.
How do these rates compare to others around us?
Well, we did look at others, and they're roughly half of what our neighbors charge. But we wanted to start out small. You know, at some point we may have to increase that, but it's roughly half of what the surrounding utilities. I even looked at some down in Charleston and Mount Pleasant, and they're like 20 times higher than this. And it's ridiculous what they charge. But we didn't feel like we could justify anything like that. If all of the planned subdivisions do actually get built out in Lawrence, at some point there will be water and sewer capacity issues that we have to deal with, and this will help provide some funds to address those issues when and if they come.
As opposed to raising rates.
As opposed to raising rates, right. But again, one more time, this is just brand new construction. This doesn't have anything to do with existing customers.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you go, I missed on that first one, you gave $500 and I didn't get the rest. The very first one of the white screens you showed for the individual one house.
You're talking about this slide?
Yeah. It's that.
That's, REU is one house, is equivalent to one house. So if you built a house, this is what the capacity fees would be.
Okay, and plus the $750.
That's the water.
Well, the 500 is for water and 750 is for sewer.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
That makes sense?
That'll be the same thing in or outside the city?
The same thing in or outside the city.
You don't think that'll run no development off?
I don't think so. But the problem is if we don't add it now and all these come, at some point, we're still gonna have to spend a lot of money to upgrade water and sewer. So this would definitely help. And you're making the future customers that are causing the problem more responsible for it, if that makes sense. So our current customers should be 100% in favor of this.
Yep, we are.
But again, I've done some pretty extensive research, so has Will Patterson, and we may be the only water and sewer utility in South Carolina that doesn't have capacity fees.
Now, what was it on one house again?
I'm sorry?
Like one house,
Yeah.
500 and 750?
Right.
Okay.
That goes on the developer.
Pretty much, yeah.
To the price of the house.
Now, the other aspect to this, we are asking to increase the tap fees a little bit. As you are probably aware, the price of materials has kind of gone through the roof, so to speak, the last year or so. And what I asked Will to do is to go back and establish what the average cost for us these days to install all of these different services. And so what I did in this handout here is I've got the tap fees that are current now, and then what they would go to down below that. So you can kind of see it's not a huge difference, but with the cost of materials, and I don't really see any slowdown in the escalation of the price of materials. So that gets us up to where we are, and then maybe just adds a little bit to it for future, so I don't have to keep coming back to you.
My first question here is the 1-inch material, is that much more expensive than the rest of it?
Yeah.
There's a pretty big difference in percentage increase. Yeah.
Did anybody have any questions about any of that?
What page you on, Jerry? This one? Oh, okay. Looking all over.
Again, I realize this is something that we've never had before, but I feel like with all of the development, and it seems like just about every week I get a call from another developer looking at a piece of land, and I'm just very concerned that if we don't make some plans like these, that down the road we're going to face having to have rate increases to cover the cost of these improvements.
These tap fees at the bottom, that's what the new ones will be, Mr. John?
Yes, sir. Water and sewer. Now, we're talking water and sewer. The first page there, it says 40 is the water, and then the one that says 46 would be the sewer tap and capacity fees. And again, the outside the city is the cost for inside multiplied by 1.5. So.
Any questions? Any further discussion?
That's what the old one.
I hear a motion that we accept the new proposed water and sewer tap fees and the capacity fees as presented.
So move.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. That would be unanimous. All right, that brings us to item number 9, executive session. Do I hear a motion, we go into executive session and return to public session to call the chair?
So moved.
All in favor, raise your right hand. That would be unanimous also.
I don't anticipate any kind of,
Can I ask one more question for you?
yes, ma'am.
What are the old prices? How much of an increase is this? Am I looking at it and not getting it here on the tap fees?
Yeah, these are the current, see how they're marked? This is